Hey everybody, Jim Littlebridge here, one of the pastors of the Urbana United Methodist Church, and it's another Monday. It's time for another Motivational Monday. So last week we were in the sanctuary and I played the piano, and now you know that I know just enough piano to be dangerous. And I said, well, maybe today I'll whip out the tuba and play something, but I decided against that, so don't worry. But instead, just to do something different, I thought I would share a story with you. One of my favorites, actually. It's a story that was told by Kay Arthur about the father of one of her very good friends. And so one evening, the woman's father was out hunting, and he was following an old logging trail, and it was taking him back deep into the woods, and it was getting close to dark, so he was just about to turn around and head back, when all of a sudden he heard this noise off to his left that kind of startled him. And then he just saw this big ball of white and brown fur kind of bound by him, and he again just kind of froze, trying to get his senses to see what on earth that was. As he looked around, he felt something between his feet. And there, sitting between his feet, was a rabbit. Now, you know that's pretty weird. Rabbits are scared of people. They don't like to be around people. We hardly ever see rabbits because they are afraid of people. But here, this evening, was a rabbit sitting between his legs and rubbing up against his left leg. The rabbit was tired, exhausted, breathing heavy, and it was shaking. No doubt it was afraid. So the man was kind of dumbfounded, and he kind of stood there for a moment, not knowing what to do. And then, what do you do? So he started talking to the rabbit. Hey there, dude, what's going on? You okay? What's happening? Why are you sitting here? Why are you near me? And as he continued this conversation with the rabbit, he heard another noise about 20 yards down the trail. And there, standing in the middle of the trail, was a weasel with glaring red eyes and salivating as it looked at the rabbit. But it had froze in its steps because the weasel saw the man. And so as the man looked at the weasel, he looked down at the rabbit, looked over to the weasel, looked down at the rabbit. It all came together. It was one of those cycle of life moments. And so the man looked at the rabbit and said, hey, little buddy, now I know why you're afraid and you're exhausted. That guy must have been chasing you for a long time. And he raised his gun and aimed a few feet in front of the weasel. And when the shot rang out and hit in front of the weasel leaped 4 or 5 feet up in the air and then turned around and ran off the other direction. He waited a while, looked down, and the rabbit was still sitting between his feet, rubbing up against his legs, still shaking, not as bad, still shaking, still a little exhausted. So the man just stood there. He said, hey, buddy, you can stay there as long as you like. And after a while, a moment, it seemed like maybe a minute or two, the rabbit, feeling better, the shaking had stopped, seemed to be rested. It kind of looked up at the man as if to say thank you, and then took a hop, another hop, and then took off back into the woods. And the rabbit was safe, at least for that night. So I share that story for this. Where do we run in time of need? Where do we run when the predators of trouble, worry, and fear come after us and pursue us? Where do we turn when our energy is spent? when weakness saps our energy and we feel as though we can no longer run any longer. Where do we turn? Where do we run? Who is our shelter? Well, check out Psalm 27, verse 5. It says this. It says, his house is my shelter and secret retreat. It is there I find peace in the midst of storm and turmoil. Safety sits with me in the hiding place of God. He will set me on a rock high above the fray. I love that verse. And what a powerful reminder that God is always standing before us with open arms, waiting for us to come to huddle into the security of all that he is. So I know, a lot's been going on, right, with this coronavirus pandemic. And there's uncertainty. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's just other issues that have occurred or arose during this pandemic. Well, remember, whenever we feel afraid, whenever we are worried, whenever we're not sure, remember, God is always standing before us. He never leaves us nor turns his back on us. His arms are wide open, and he's waiting for us to turn to him so that he might protect us and shelter us under the everlasting and protective arms that he provides. So listen, I hope you're going to have a good week this week. I think we're rounding third, heading for home on this coronavirus pandemic. I know there's still a lot of ifs, ands, and buts going on there around how this is going to end, but it will end. God's got this, remember. God's got us. God's got you, so we need not fear. So have an awesome week. God bless you. Know that God loves you. I love you. And who knows, maybe next week I'll pull out that tuba. Hey, take care. God bless.